welcome back again, all you total legends. Today we're doing something we haven't done in a while, and that is a
Takara versus KO.
Now, they took quite a while to release this. I think this guy come out, like, what was it, late 2016? Maybe there just wasn't any demand for it. Who knows? Anyway, all the KO stuff will be on the right, all the Takara stuff on the left. The KO cost me about the $45 Australian mark delivered. Maybe closer to 50 with, like, fees and all that sort of bullshit. So it was really quite cheap. But it is plagued with quite a few problems, which we're going to cover. Firstly, though, we're going to take a look at the box. I usually don't like to cover the box too much, but when it comes to Takara KOs, we go over some details so you can spot the difference. One of the major differences I'm finding with all the Takara KO boxes is on the Takara, can you see the horizon behind him? The KO, well, this one's, the box is all messed up, but you can see there's no printed horizon line at all. It's a really clear indicator. The other indicator that I find most often is on Takara, the batch number is stamped in. See how that's been pressed in? Whereas when you look on the KO, it's been cut in with something. See that? It's also missing the Lambo sticker. On the back, all the pictures and information are the same. Pictures are all the same. Writing is all the same. No spelling errors, nothing like that. Just those couple of minor differences. And apart from the shitty printing, I mean, that's pretty rubbish. You can see the corrugation in the cardboard really easily. The Takara's a bit clearer. But sometimes if you don't have them next to each other, it can be difficult to tell. But 100% way to tell, KO doesn't have horizon line, Official does. Let's get rid of them. Bring these guys in, and before we get into them, let's check out their accessories. And again, Takara on the left, KO on the right. We'll start with his little angry earpieces. You can see that the KO is much darker than the Official, but apart from that, I'm not really seeing any differences. I think my Official actually has a bit of flash or something on the bottom here. Nothing really to say about them other than they're different colours. When it comes to the pistols though, you can see the KO looks like it's been chewed on by a rat. Look at that handle. Over the top sprue marks. Yeah, plastic's a bit chewed up. Yeah, look, the tab hole is too big for the tab, so I guess he'll hold it by friction, but it doesn't actually tab in. But still, you know, the friction seems to be working enough. And then we've got his shoulder cannons. Now these are really heavily painted in that sort of Toon grey that they're putting on everything. And the Official was prone to chipping as well, so the KO isn't much better. But the KO on the red plastic, what am I seeing? There's like stress marks around the barrel here. We've got stress marks, whereas on the Official, we've just got the tiniest little sprue mark. And the red plastic is all pretty tidy on the Official. Whereas on the KO, it looks a little bit thin. Right, a difference that I've just seen is on the KO, where the red barrel joins to the rest of the gun, you've got grey all up in there, whereas on the Official, where the red joins to the gun, it's red all in this gap. Overall, the paint is applied to the KO pretty evenly, although it is dirty. So you've got Takara on the top, KO on the bottom. You see the KO just sort of has this texture to it. It's a little bit lumpy. I'm not seeing any hairs or anything, but it just looks thick. It looks like it was sprayed on too thick, too quick. Whereas the Takara up the top is very, very even gloss, very smooth, looks good. Not too bad, it's not falling out. It doesn't feel the tightest, it just a little bit of pressure and it does just pop straight out, but it's not falling out or flopping out, so yeah, good. So overall it's not bad, a little bit messy. For half the price, you know, that's passable. But then when it comes to Red Alert himself, we're starting to see some problems. I'm not particularly happy with the KO. It mostly comes down to paint. But first, let's energize. And then I'm just going to drink it from this really high quality and well printed mug that I just happen to have laying around. Alright, the main event. Let's get back to these two guys. Now, I'm just going to go over a few details of the KO first. So the first thing I want to mention is the wheels. The back ones do spin, the front, nah, they're all stuck. See? They're jammed, they don't want to spin. Also, I can't quite get all of this just to tab in perfectly. That's something I'm having a bit of drama with this guy, especially down the side here. It's probably the best I've been able to get it, and I do have the head transformed correctly. See, with the forehead back, just to let this close a little bit lower, and yeah, there's no fixing it. On the official, it was a little bit of a problem, so you still got the bit of a gap there, which I didn't have with the original Red Alert or Sideswipe. But yeah, it's just exasperated on the KO. Now, it's not coloured plastic, it is painted plastic, just like the Takara. And just like the Takara, the paint, it chips, it flakes. It's very thick paint, and it's probably not the best to be used on this. The Takara is a little bit more durable. It did have a couple of chips straight out of the box, which were only really noticeable in bot mode. So the Takara in vehicle mode, I'm not really seeing too many faults. Well, actually, I'm not really, maybe a couple just in these joins. But apart from that, my Takara paint is pretty much perfect. In bot mode, where some of these hinges move, especially in the legs here, there's a bit of chipping there, but we'll cover that later. But when it comes to the KO, you can see that there's a slight color difference, and I think that is because I can see the plastic underneath the paint. They've only given it like maybe a once over, so like here, it looks like there's a fingerprint, or it's gone on too thick and it's sort of pulled a little bit and they've chipped a little bit off, so I can see the plastic underneath. I got like some sort of warped plastic, fuzziness all along there. The windows are clear, whereas on the Takara the windows are frosted. I've got grey paint stuck on the windows, and that's not scratching off, so that's on there. It's all really fuzzy. Look, I got overspray around the windows, not enough paint along here. There's not enough paint all along here. I can see the plastic underneath. It's all sort of black and spotty. The details on the bonnet are done really crisp. Although, is the Autobot logo crooked? I think it is. I think it's slightly off. A bit of a chip in the paint here. These headlight covers, they just look weird. They're like not in all the way. The red paint here, are you seeing that in the reflection? It's either fingerprints, or it's like the paint was sprayed on and then it was shot at with a heat gun or something to dry it quickly, and it's all sort of shriveled up like cling wrap. Bit of red paint up there, scratches on the window, same fuzziness on this side. Red on the back isn't done too bad. The grey paint along here, it's done evenly, but it is similar to the Canon. It was done too quickly, so it's a little bit lumpy, and it's like texturized, whereas on the Takara, that is just smooth as butter on the back there, whereas this is a little bit rough. Red plastic up here is darker than the Takara. What else we got? And I think that's pretty much it. Because it doesn't tab in entirely well, and these wheels are jammed, clearly it doesn't roll, it's just sort of scraping on this crotch plate here, whereas the Takara on the surface does roll perfectly fine. But yeah, it's half the price. It's half the price, so not tabbing in entirely well, and things being fuzzy and paint splodges and that sort of stuff, it's what you're going to get. Basically, it's what you should expect, and it's what we commonly get with the Takara box KOs anyway. But overall, on a shelf, it looks the part, I guess. It's not floppy. Everything's holding in pretty well. It's just not lining up that great. So I've definitely seen worse. But yeah, alright. I'm going to go into bot mode, seeing as that's all done. I'm not going to cover the transformation. This has been around for years. We all know it, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, we'll just check out bot mode. I have, with the KO, a couple of the regular Lambo mold problems. I'm just going to get the Takara out of the way for a second. Let's just cover the physical problems I'm having with this at the moment. The first one is the loose backpack. The other couple of problems I have, the chest tab. Everybody knows about this chest tab. The tab hole that it goes into is a little bit warped. So I've just got to go at that with a knife, make a bit more room, and it'll fit. But the other problem I'm having with the chest is this tab. You see that? This tab right here tabs into this section. You see that? This section here. But yeah, it's not happening. It seems like the plastic is soft and pliable, but it's not. Everything's really rounded off, and nothing really wants to sort of go in properly. So I'm trying to get that. Oh, there we go. Fantastic. Alright, as you can see, that took a little bit more force than I would usually want to do on a KO, but whatever. It's in. Maybe now it'll be much easier now that it's been in there the first time. So let's, there we go. Chest tab, yeah, I'll just have to go at that with a knife, I think. Yeah, look, I'm just going to clean that out with a knife first before I push it too much further. I don't really care if this is super tight or not by the end of it, just as long as it goes in. Alright, let's have a look. There we go, and that's very secure. Look at that. Now that I've trimmed those bits off and used a bit more force on that, maybe add a little bit of lubricant to that if you've got any. Maybe even just spit on it and tell it you love it. That might do the trick. Either way, that feels nice and secure now. Just one other problem I'm having physically with the bot mode, and that is these tabs here and here. It's a nice secure tab once it's in, but getting it there, it's a bit of a hassle. You see the natural position of folding the leg over. See where the plastic is? It's nowhere near the tab, and it really, look, it does not want to. So look, I'm actually flexing the plastic to bend it in the right angle. So I'm bending the plastic to get it into the tab, and then folding this over just to hold it in a bit. And it is holding. It's holding better than I expected, actually, but you are still flexing that plastic. As for physical or mold detail differences, I'm not really seeing anything. All the details in the chest seem to be exactly the same. Abdomen, crotch area, legs. Yeah, it's just some slight color differences. The grey plastic on the KO is slightly darker than the official, but you wouldn't really know that unless you had them side by side. Details up around the neck are all exactly the same. Faces are exactly the same. Oh, actually, there's one difference in the face. Takara, see this red cheek bit? It's just solid red plastic. KO, it's got like grey plastic. See the grey plastic on the side? Both sides. The Takara does not have that. Overall, in comparison with the Takara, the paint on this is incredibly inferior. All the hinges during the transformation are wearing off. Same with the Chief logo on both arms. The legs here are an absolute mess. But in the KO's defense, the legs on the Takara, the upper thighs, chipped straight out of the box. It is an even coat, whereas this is really rough, and I've got like water droplets there. It's all rough along the edge. It was a difficult paint to do, I guess. They probably bit off more than they could chew. But the Takara wasn't immune to some of these faults as well. But yeah, you expect that, don't you? You expect pretty shitty paint when it comes to these. You're getting budget paint, really. Alright, well, I think that's pretty much all there is for comparison. I'll just show off how strong his articulation is. The head is very loose. Very, very loose. Up and down, all around, super loose. The shoulders, up, get up to there, nice and tight. You know, tight enough. This transformation hinge comes out a little bit, this one doesn't. Upper bicep swivels are both super tight. The double jointed elbow, or the single jointed elbow for this way, is nice and tight. They're both nice and stiff. Wrist swivels are really, really loose. Super loose. But if you're going to replace those with KFC hands, maybe not such a big deal. Waist swivel, nice and stiff. Now the big bone of contention I've always had with the Lambos is these hip joints. I've never had a good one. So the friction out is good, is really good. And then the forward and back, oh wow, that's super stiff. It almost doesn't want to do it. Super stiff, very good. And the knees, while they're not as tight as the hips, the knees are definitely strong enough. So no problem there. Feet, the bend here at the ankle, very, very stiff. Heel spur is also the same level of stiffness, not worried there. And the rocker is just very, very minimal, but still, yeah, good joints, except for that one. Except for that one, good joints. Better joints than any Lambo I've ever, or better joints than any KO Lambo I've ever owned. That's for sure. I nearly forgot upper thigh swivel. still super stiff. So overall, joints wise, it's great. Transformation wise, it's not too bad. Paint wise, it sucks, but yeah, it's like $50 instead of 110. So is it worth it and should you buy it? I'm going to say maybe. When it comes to the Takara boxed KOs, I like to think of them more as placeholders or line sitters, you know. If you can't afford the official but you still want the character in your line, you can buy the KO and then a year down the track or whenever you come across a bargain, replace it. Or if you just don't really care about the character that much but you just still want him in your lineup to complete the character line, you can chuck him up the back or in the middle or something where you're not going to get a good look at him and won't really make any difference. Me personally, I'll be sticking with my Takara. I think the Takara is miles above the KO, but that's just me. I would personally recommend you either buy the official or go buy the bad cube. They both look pretty good. But yeah, ultimately it's up to you. If you're into the KO Lambos and you've had them all before or you've experienced them before, then I think this one will probably be the best of the lot for you. Another good use for this would be if you're an Inferno fan and you want to chuck a beat up Red Alert in Inferno's arms, this would be a cheap way of doing that. And that's it. Now, if you enjoyed this video and like what I'm doing, please like and subscribe to my channel. Remember to check out my Facebook for daily news and updates on KO and third-party stuff. I have Twitter and Instagram. Make sure to head over there and check them out. And as always, guys, thank you very much for your time, and thanks for watching.